Just sitting here in the car. I think I'm gonna film my weekly watering here. Alrighty, seedlings, let's talk about money. Weekly waterings are a pretty new thing, and when it comes to money, one of the first things you need to understand is how to budget. Creating a budget at least once in your life, monitoring it for at least 1 month in your life, is going to help you tremendously. And I'm going to provide for you a free template down below in the description box of basically the budget that I use. And it's all built on a Google spreadsheet, and you can customize it to your liking and your bills and preferences. Set your budgets for things like travel, gas, food, shopping, and then understand how much you have left at the end of the month. Many people will call this amount the gap. So the gap is the difference between how much you make and how much you spend. That gap is what is going to be the key to your financial freedom. With the gap, you can use that money to save, you can use that money to invest, and what I like to do is a combination of both. I also like to keep an extremely large gap. We're talking almost 50% of my income. I'll describe how I do that in maybe a future video. So for now, let me walk you through my budget. There are 3 sections to the budget as I have it laid out. Number 1 is your income. So if you have a single job, that's going to be your source of income. If you have a job and somebody sends you money every month, you can put that in the income area. If you have miscellaneous reimbursements, this is also where you want to plug in income every month. Next, you have your fixed expenses. This is the section for all of your bills: phone, water, gas, electric, rent, mortgage, loan debt, paying off credit card debt, paying off any sorts of debt. All of those things that are fixed. If you gift money every month, then that's also where you want to lay out the money you know for sure is going to go out. And then finally, we have our proper budgeting section. This is a section that is built off of estimates, and it's going to be how much you allow yourself to spend and to try not to go over on a monthly basis. For me, I've had more complex budgets in the past, but what I've settled on now is quite simple, and my 4 categories are now just travel, food, shopping, and cushion. Cushion is quite large and really captures the everything else. Alright, so I've reparked because I thought the lighting would be better, but it's possibly worse. Alright, so final thoughts on a budget. You want to make sure that you are working with a budget that is realistic. So if you're accustomed to spending, like, say, $800 a month on food, you would be better off limiting your food spending to something like 700, then 600, and so on, rather than immediately cutting yourself off at $400. It's not realistic. You're not going to stick to it, and then when we fall short of our budgets, especially when we fall short a lot, it's very demoralizing. And it's, just like exercise or just like food, nutrition goals, you want to set yourself up for success. So find the habit, find the goal that you will be able to challenge yourself to accomplish. If it's such a stretch for you and you just don't have the practice in place yet, you're not going to succeed. And that is not the point of budgeting, is not the point of trying to work on yourself. This should all feel doable and a very worthy challenge that's going to make you feel really good when you hit your goals. Secondly, you might be saying, oh, budgeting's not for me. It works for other people, but it's not for me. The budget exists whether or not you look at it. It's kind of like your grades in school. So whether or not you look at it, you spend X amount a month on food, and whether or not you know that number, it's real, it's there. And a budget is nothing but a record and a track of what has happened, and in its ideal use, also something that you look at and project and say, in this next month, I project that I'll spend this much. If this system truly doesn't work for you, I would investigate whether or not you're budgeting the right way. So if projecting how much you're going to spend really scares you, maybe you need to project that you'll spend more. Or maybe you need to project for a quarterly or an annual basis rather than a monthly basis if you find it's too unwieldy and confusing and just wrong to think about a budget on a month-to-month basis. Basically, what I'm saying is that there's a budget that should work for everyone. In my opinion, a budget is a very straightforward document, and if you are completely, utterly against budgeting, against looking at your numbers, then that might be a sign that you are just not ready to face the facts, or that you are really uneasy about something to do with managing your money. No judgment here, but that is something that I hear from so many people, and I just wanted to set the record straight on what I think about looking at the amount of money you spend every month. You know, there's no shame in being in debt. There's no shame in spending more than you'd like to, or spending more than anyone else you know on things like food or coffee or shopping. The moment we recognize our numbers is when we start to take control of them, and when we start to say that is okay or that is not okay, and then begin to make those changes. Now, if you're not looking forward to being on the journey toward financial freedom or money management, then I wish you all the best of luck. But I will say that part of adulting is taking control of your finances, and it's not something that's taught in school. So I'm doing my best right now to share what I know about money in a way that's palatable and kind of easy and accessible. So I hope you'll check the link down below in the description box for a template budget. Play with it, use it, and ask me any questions you have down in the comment section. It's actually really hot. This is why I don't own a pet. I don't know how to treat a living organism humanely. Number 2 is Mind, and what I want to recommend this month is an app on your phone called Oak. After COVID-19, I'm pretty sure everybody has experimented like at least a little bit with meditation, because we all kind of needed it just a little bit. You might have heard of Headspace, you might have even heard of Oak, but I will highly recommend Oak because I like to keep things simple. I love good tech, but I do love just less talking and less buttons and fewer of the doodads. What I like to do is go into the app as I'm laying in bed preparing to sleep, and then knock out a short meditation before I sleep. And of course, I'm using the term knock out a meditation as if it's something to check off a list, because I'm anxious and perfectionist like that. But actually, meditation should be something that we embrace at any moment of our days. It does not need to go on your to-do list. Rather, it should be something in your heart that you know is good for you, and you do just as you would breathe slowly or breathe deeply, just as you would take a walk or exercise. You know that you should incorporate meditation into your life where you can, and particularly if you feel you don't have time, particularly if you feel stressed and anxious, that is a perfect time to revisit meditation. There are 3 meditate settings, 3 breathing settings, and 2 sleeping guided courses that you could follow. They're just as simple as mindful meditation, loving kindness meditation, and so on. I like mindful. Sometimes I'll do loving kindness, but once you click the meditation, you can select the duration, the instructor's voice in terms of gender, background noise, and whether or not you want to warm up. For me, I'll set this to something really teensy, like 10 minutes, and yeah, the rest is just my mood. I love a good like rain, cascading water background, and typically I like a female voice, but sometimes I listen to the male voice too. It doesn't matter too much. Once again, meditation is something you want to incorporate into your daily life if possible, but if not, then seek those moments where you are feeling the lowest energy or even the highest anxiety or highest intensity emotions throughout your week, and then note that, oh, this is a good time to meditate, and then maybe give it a try. Just 5 minutes. Nobody's watching you, nobody's judging you, and every second, every minute that you meditate absolutely counts. The Oak app keeps meditation super simple, and I'm personally not someone who needs to gamify everything. I quite like to just do things on my own anyway and not like be measured up against other people. If you are kind of introverted like I am, low-key, minimalist, I think you'll really like the Oak app, and I wish you all the best in terms of picking up the meditation habit. And that's kind of where I'm at. I can't remember the last time I meditated, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell you to meditate even though I don't even do it. All right, I want to cover beauty this week, and one of my favorite beauty channels is actually Dr. Dray. Dr. Dray is a board-certified dermatologist on YouTube, and in addition to being a freaking doctor, she makes daily YouTube videos. So I don't even know how that's possible, but she's so cool, and I've been following her since like her low 10,000s of followers, and now she's at like 1 point something million followers. I think the pandemic allowed people to really buckle down on health and look into ingredients that are really working for them rather than just using vanity products or whatever was being sold at the malls. We couldn't go to the mall, so we turned to the internet, and when we did that, I believe that we all were able to investigate more and learn more. In that process, Dr. Dray has become extremely popular, and I couldn't be happier for her. She is to the point, very knowledgeable, smart, witty, and just like a really wonderful friend. So if you're looking for a source of beauty news and ingredients, knowledge, as well as just recommendations for up-and-coming skincare products, then I would follow Dr. Dray's channel. Word of warning, every other video is just about the importance of applying sunscreen. And if you aren't already using sunscreen, oh my gosh, please put on sunscreen. All right, so this is a generous weekly watering. For my final topic, brains, I want to share with you another thing that I created on Google Sheets, and that's 2-week experiments for 2-month goals. I share this with my life coaching clients, and I know that this has worked well for a lot of people, which is in the process of building a large habit or accomplishing a large goal that you set, say, 2 months in advance. You want to break it down. That's essentially what this spreadsheet is going to help you do. You break down any 2-month goal into 2-week experiments. In 2 months, there are roughly 4 sets of 2 weeks. That is overly complicated. If you have a large goal of being more positive, right? The first 2 weeks, you can practice an experiment of walking outside every day because, you know, everybody knows that a good jaunt and some time outdoors can really up your dopamine levels. For the following 2 weeks, you might exercise in the house every day for similar reasons. The next 2 weeks, you might cut out sugar from your diet and see if that affects, you know, your ability to feel more positive throughout the day and to avoid those energy slumps that can be quite depressing. And then in the final 2 weeks, you can experiment with calling up a friend every other day or, you know, on whatever cadence works for you. The idea here is that you are looking at different ways to accomplish the same goal, which is to be, in this case, more positive. When you experiment, you can, you know, do something for a short amount of time and then say, okay, that really works. Or you can run another experiment and say, that one doesn't work, not for me, I don't like it. And after doing 4 experiments within 2 months, you're gonna inevitably push the needle forward on your goal. You're gonna accomplish your goal in 1, 2, 3, or potentially 4 different ways. And what's more, you'll understand exactly your favorite way of accomplishing that goal. So not everybody is gonna grow more muscle the same way. Not everybody is gonna you know, get their money in order the same way. Not everybody is gonna save up for that dream vacation in the exact same way. And when we create different creative experiments to get to our goals, we can better understand ourselves. We can have more forgiveness for when something doesn't work out because, hey, we have another experiment on the way anyway. All in all, I found that this is a great way to break down large looming goals into very manageable chunks. So what you'll find on the Google Sheet is that not only do I break it down into 2 weeks, but then the 2 weeks can be broken down further. And when you break this down further, there's no limit to how many tactics you can apply to an experiment. So as I mentioned earlier, one of the experiments might be to go outside and take a walk every single day. Your tactics here would be:
Day 1, rollerblade. Day 2, go on XYZ trail. Day 3, take a walk through the outdoor mall. On day 4, take a walk along the beach.
And so those are tactics, and they're just there for you to write out the things that would be extremely detailed and literal to the task at hand. Writing out what you will literally do and visualizing yourself doing it has been scientifically proven to result in you doing it more than if you didn't visualize it. So I highly recommend that you check out the spreadsheet I have in the description box on 2-month goals and 2-week experiments. I hope in the next week you're creating more wrinkles in your brain by setting down your goals and breaking them down into very manageable habits, manageable experiments. So that's that for my weekly watering this week. It was a really fundamental episode, and I hope that you take full advantage of all of the free resources I've left down below. As usual, protect your mental health, watch your coin, and be well. Bye!